Hello and welcome to a new video. This video is going to be a pretty chill one. It's going to basically be like a sketchbook session kind of thing. If you've been following my stories on Instagram, you might have seen that I've been like complaining of going through a bit of an art block recently. Because of that, I've like been very kind of stressed, and it's kind of pushed me towards one of my comfort shows, Supernatural. That's also because my brother has been like talking about it and watching someone on YouTube talking about it, so it's kind of been on my radar a bit. That, and I think the internet is kind of like talking about it again because, you know, there's the whole thing going on with the boys. So I thought, what better way to try and like beat this art block than doing a spread of the boys, of the brothers from Supernatural. So I'm starting off by sketching Dean. I'm using a screenshot, which I will show on the screen, from one of the early season episodes. It's season 1, episode something, I don't remember. It's called Shifter. No, it's not. It's called Skin. This is from a scene in the very beginning of the episode. It is like the cold open, and it's one of my favourite openings to a Supernatural episode. It's just so good, and I love the like lighting for it, so I just really wanted to draw it. And I kept in a lot of my like basically my entire drawing process because I just wanted to like show how much trouble I was having with it. I was constantly fixing things, nothing was coming out how I wanted them to, so I was just working at it and tweaking it, hoping to get some kind of thing that I liked. And yeah, it was a struggle. It took me like 2 days to do because I was just getting so fed up with it, and I just like kept giving up on it and coming back to it. The pink pencil kind of made it harder as well because it doesn't erase very well, but the reason I used pink is because I am going to paint this with gouache, and I really like how the pink pencil looks with stuff like that. It's the same reason I use it with alcohol markers. It just like gets absorbed by whatever you put on it, so in this case the paints, and I just really like how that looks. Also, it means, you know, with normal graphite pencil it won't muddy the colours. Anyway, so yes, I'm just going in with gouache, and because again I was really struggling, so I was having a hard time like committing to anything, so I just started off by putting very light washes of like where the colours and the lighting would go to help me, you know, get an idea of it, because as you could probably see from the screenshot, this is a very high contrast picture, and that's typically something I have a lot of trouble with just usually in art, so this maybe wasn't a good idea to try and tackle my art block with, but I just really wanted to do it because I really liked it. It was inspiring me, which a lot of things weren't at the moment, and using the gouache meant that like I could fix things a little easier as opposed to using like alcohol markers, you know. So yeah, the initial wash helped me like kind of get an idea of where I wanted the like light source to be, because he's got like a flashlight pointed at his face, so it's really illuminating the lower part of his face, but then so much of him is in shadow, and that was the part I was kind of worried about, is trying to make it look like things are fading into shadow and like his hair kind of disappears into the background, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to like communicate that very well, so it was a fun struggle, and I do think it really helped me come out of my art block a bit. I will be fully transparent, there are things about it that I would like to change, but I'm also really happy with it considering how much trouble I was having with it. And you know, artists are always like really harsh on themselves, so like I'm probably just being very nitpicky, and again because of the art block stuff, I'm being even harder on myself. But yeah, it was really fun just slowly building things up. That's how I really like to do it with gouache, because I know there are techniques out there with using gouache where you use it really thick from the get-go, putting down the exact colours where you want them. And I really like kind of building it up slowly, using thin washes mixed with thick washes. This is also because I have a bit of watercolour brain where I don't like how it feels when it's too thick. So sometimes I do water it down too much. But for the most part, I really like the method that I use for painting with gouache. And, you know, if it works for me, I guess that's all that really matters. These, by the way, are the Himi Jelly Gouache paints that I have used previously in a video, and I absolutely love them. I haven't used them in a while, and I'm very happy to say that there isn't any mold growing on them. That's something that always freaks me out when I see people talking about how they haven't touched their gouache in ages, and then they open it to just mold. That hasn't happened, thankfully, and they haven't completely dried out yet either, so like that's not why. They are starting to, because like I said, I haven't used gouache in ages, which was probably also another risky thing to do while having art block, because I don't know why I haven't used it. I can't remember when the last thing was. Yeah, it was really fun to just use it again. I have used it again since making this video, so who knows, maybe I'm on my gouache spree, I don't know. So I basically just like kept going over the same areas again and again, darkening them, adding more contrast, like trying to fix things. So there is kind of like a bit of repetition in that on this picture. I think it really helped because obviously as you keep adding darker colours that you previously thought were like the darkest part of the picture suddenly aren't, and it kind of throws everything out of harmony. I don't know, you know, it changes up how the contrast now works, and that kept happening of course because he's in like shadow and stuff. I kept adding darker colours, but I really like how it ended up. I used my nail brush art as well for the little details, which I will forever be recommending people to get. I got my ones off of Amazon, so you can find them there pretty easily. The exact ones that I bought are no longer available, but there are a lot of similar ones. I will leave links to some that are like it in the description, but yeah, they are not the same set that I bought, so just like look into it a bit more yourself if you plan on getting them. So at this point I was really happy with how the paint was looking, and I just wanted to go in and add a few more details with coloured pencil. So I'm using the RTX coloured pencil set, and yeah, I'm just going in and adding a little bit more contrast. I was struggling to get some of the colours that I wanted with the gouache paints, so this was just kind of like an easy way to do it. I added a little bit of red into his hair just where it like touched his skin, because I thought it would create a nice like gradient because of like the flashlight. I just really like how it looked. Whether or not it actually makes sense, I don't know, but I liked it. And then once more, to just really darken those shadows, I went in with a dark pencil. I end up using this really thick big one, which is like a I think it's a Krita colour. I got it in a Scrawler box set, but if I can find them online I will leave a link for that as well. And this was amazing because it's like a really big pencil, so it covered a lot of surface, and it made it so dark, but it also meant that the picture was like, it was gonna smudge because it was like getting all over my hand. So to stop this and kind of seal the picture in, my brother was kind enough to lend me, or give me, because I'm not giving it back, some acetate. I was worried that I was going to ruin it, so I did take these glamour shots before I did that. But this acetate, I think is what it's called, is like a plastic sheet and it's sticky on one side. And he helped me, so that's his hands that you can see holding my book down. And I just gently rolled it onto the picture using a ruler so that it would seal it in. Because I was debating using some like fixative spray, but I was, one, really worried that it would ruin the picture. And two, this pencil was smudging so much that I don't think any amount of spray would have held it in. So this just seemed like the perfect way to seal it, and I'm really happy with how it looks. I was so surprised that I did it flat. There are no air bubbles, which I'm so happy with. So yeah, originally I wasn't planning on doing a double spread, but I thought I want to do something on this other page. I was thinking of Sam, so I drew some of Sam. So you saw me putting some scrap pages into my book. I do that to protect the previous pages from any smudging. So if the pages were going to smudge from me, you know, using this page, it would all smudge onto the scrap paper instead of the other pages opposite it. Because I had some pictures on the other side of this page that I quite liked and I didn't want to ruin, I decided I wasn't going to use gouache for Sam's page. I was going to use acrylic markers. That's why I'm using just a regular graphite pencil. And once again, you can see I am really struggling. So for this one, I am using a screenshot again. This one is from, I believe it's season 2, episode 2, Everybody Loves a Clown, because I really liked his outfit where he's wearing the bright red jacket. I love how bright the jacket is, so I just was like, I really want to draw that. And yeah, I was struggling so much with drawing him, but the one thing that really helped, because it's the sketches that I've been having a lot of trouble with just in general, and the thing that can help with that sometimes is when I know I'm going to cover it up, like with the paint, or in this case the acrylic markers, I'm like, I can fix this later. So I got the sketch to a point I was somewhat happy with and just started layering up the pens. And for his picture, I'm using pretty much the same method that I did for the reels that I did for the characters from A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's basically that same kind of thing, using different colours I think, but mostly sticking to the same like methods. That purple pen is still hanging on for dear life. It is so watery because of how old it is, but it is still doing like exactly what I need it to do. So that's really, I love it so much. For ages I was like, this looks bad, and I had to keep pushing through. Basically this entire video was a trust the process test, because I was like, no, this is bad, but then I was like, no, I've got to keep going. It might get better and I won't know if I stop now, so I have to keep pushing because I can always fix it later. And as soon as I started adding in the contrast, like with his eyes and his hair, I started to like it more, and I was like, okay, his face doesn't look that bad now, because initially it was looking horrible, because like I said on the Dean piece, as you start adding darker colours, it switches up how the whole piece was looking before that, and the shadows on his face were looking way too dark for what I needed them to be. So then as I added the darker colours in the hair, everything just started fixing itself, and I felt so much better about it and I was liking it. And yeah, adding that red in his jacket made me so happy. It is so nice. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun just slowly building things up. I really love using acrylic markers because of how easy they are to use. There's like no mess. Of course there is the limit of only being able to use the colours available in the set, but that just makes it more fun than trying to figure out different colours to use instead. So I then gave him an outline of yellow. I also gave him a speech box because I was going to have him say something. And I then just went in and lined everything and added a few more details with coloured pencil. These ones are Faber-Castell pencils. I really like using a small handful that I have for lining details in pictures. So yeah, that's what I'm using here. So then, because of how much Sam just really loves clowns, I thought I would fill the rest of the page with just some random clowns. I was initially planning on doing like another picture of Sam, but I was getting kind of tired, you know, a little overwhelmed, because I was still struggling with drawing because of the art block or the art funk or whatever you want to call it. So the thought of trying to draw Sam that looks like Sam was really stressing me out. So I thought, I'm just gonna do some clowns, and it doesn't matter if they look good or not because they're clowns. And I'm really glad I did, because it was really easy. Like, it really helped, because this one specifically, this big one here, was from my head, so it didn't need to look like anything. So if anything went wrong, it didn't actually go wrong, because like there was no preset for how they had to look. Do you know what I mean? So that was good. It took a lot of like stress away. And then the other two clowns, the one behind this one is just like the clown entrance that is in the amusement park thing that's in this episode, and then the little guy at the bottom is actually from one of the episodes in a later season that I cannot remember what it's called, but it's like something Emporium. Is it like Mr. Megorium Emporium? I don't know, it'll be up on the screen, but it's from a later season. And yeah, you kind of just learn about Sam's absolute love for clowns in that episode. So yeah, I don't know, I just thought I'd include it. And yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed using the acrylic markers, because yeah, it takes a lot of stress away not having to try and mix the colours myself to get them perfect, and instead just finding a general equivalent. I was initially going to just leave them all as just acrylic pen instead of like adding any line art, but you will see that that doesn't stay the case, because like I didn't want them to stand out more than Sam, but then I also felt that they needed a bit more definition and refining, so I do give them an outline, but I still feel like Sam stands out the most. So yeah, I think it works out. So yeah, it's been really nice just like going back and rewatching Supernatural. I was so obsessed with it when I was younger. Like my friend, she can confirm it. Like I have the Samulet, which is a necklace that Sam gave Dean in the show when they were kids, and she reminded me how she was like, I remember you used to wear that to school all the time, every single day. And yeah, I can't believe I used to do that. I think I wore it all through college as well. Like, I go on and off of, like, Supernatural a lot, all the time. Like, I just like to revisit it every now and then. But yeah, it's been really nice right now, because it really is, like, a comfort show. So because I have been, like, really struggling with my art, and honestly, my art situation has made me question a few things, because I'm like, this is all I ever want to be doing is art. So, like, can I not draw anymore? But like, no, I can draw. I can still draw. But it's been really nice to just have it on in the background while I'm working, while I'm editing, and just going back to when I was younger kind of feeling. And I've just slowly been making my way through season 1. Like, I haven't been rushing it, except I did spend an entire day watching Supernatural while I was editing, it made the editing go by a lot faster, but I was like, oh, wow, I just watched like so many episodes. But yeah, so I thought it would be really nice to do it as a video as well and share it with you guys, especially since the only reason I decided to make it a video is because I posted on my story that I was going to be painting this picture of Dean, and one of you was like, please film it and make it a video, and I was like, can do. Here you go. But anyway, yeah, so I have pretty much finished now, and I just wanted to add a couple of these green stars. These are actually from a green envelope that I then used my star cutter on, because I really like the green of it. And I have it here on the Sam page to just add a little bit extra, but then I also wanted it kind of spreading onto the Dean page a little bit, and that way I think it kind of like ties it in a little better. Because these are very obviously two completely separate pieces, like two separate pages, but I did kind of want it to feel a bit like a spread, and I think adding these stars here helped a little bit kind of like tie them together. So yeah, I think this did help. Like, I am still a little bit in an art funk, but I am almost out of it. Like, I'm feeling a lot better with my art lately, or recently, and I am really, really happy with how these turned out. I'm not going to go nitpicking on like the things that I would change, because I'm not gonna change them. So there's not really any point, and like I really don't want to be too negative on myself, because that is really not the right attitude to help me get out of this. I really need to be nicer to myself. But that being said, I do really like these, and I love the contrast between like, oh, a fun page and oh, a dark page. I love this episode of Supernatural. It is one of my all-time favourites, so if you haven't watched Supernatural, maybe check this episode out. And if you have watched it, I'd love to know what you think of this episode. It was just a really good episode. I really liked it. Anyway, enough about that. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this spread. It felt really fun doing Supernatural for my video. It felt less like a project I had to do for the video, and more like something I was doing anyway and just brought you along, and that felt really fun. So I would really like to try and do more like that, where it is less of a video with like a purpose or a direction, and more of just a casual like sketchbook session kind of thing. That isn't going to change that there will be videos that have like a purpose, you know, like collaboration videos showing things off, but yeah, I want to mix it up a bit. So hopefully I can. Hopefully we will see that happen. But yeah, so that's it for this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. If you stuck around, thank you so much. And I, of course, want to give a massive, massive thank you to my patrons. Disby, Grimclow, The Waffle of Life, Non-Toxic, Saint Nick's, LP, Kira May, Kay, Joanna, Mila, Pretty Rotten, Joanna Snake Moon, Humble Frogs, Local Fishkeeper, Mould Ghoul, Farraware, Sun Arts, Molly Marula, Scout Radley, Sammy Bear 127, Kenzania, Arrow, Charlie, Malorus, Cindy King, Art by Lavender, Angela's Weird Tales, Rainbow Tea, Breaded Nuggets, Learns, Humani, The Moth Bug, Nox, Catbird House, The Tormented Shadow, Sweet and Hopeless, Pocket, Jordan's Tiny Planet, The Coffee Rain, Black Jackal Art, Leela Loves You, A. Wendu, Olivia Gadbor, Cheris Needham, By Nixery, Cyrus Orion, Mottled Pixel, Malbon Designs, Gamut Girl, Solar Tortoise, Auden, Red S. Lily, Haley, Sienna G, Lady Ratbird, Fia, Greenfinch G Illustration, Lynn, Cody, Kaleidoscope Arm, Cloud, Clearfix, Redders, Ziutka, Beetle Ghost, Melisandra Sinclair, Bria Washington, Hurrier, June, Dakota Garcia, Manon, Lily Likes Art, Rona, Levi, Kira's Cozy Corner, Tink, Daniel McGuinness, Janine, Diel's Live, Ella Chenshuo, K2, Flossie, Stegosaurus, Yoinks, Stoyan, Spooky Chloe, Starry Fern, Kiki, Nuclear Nail Bomb, P. Right Stuff, Ray Norway, JGP, Spaceman Theo, Slurp, Nosebridge, Cherry, In the Clouds, Nowil, Saturn, Saturn's Wall.jpg, Bunny B, Samara, One Joltaire, Lee H, Jen B Burning, Fenray, Mon, I Like Tea and Pokemon, Kaino K, Bland Polecat, Destiny, Kaya D, Jamie, Riggs M23, Lolly, Mel Vogel, Lily Laukels, Lex, Vien, Dean Marie, Jadan, Frillian, Vilania Madeira, Arkangle, Cindy Flint, Till Arts, Idea Fox, Blackout 1706, Shin, Natasha Tench, Sarah Ellis, Nylod Nam, Ouija Art Studio Jenny, Stamax, Bwakau Campbell, Sweet Dynamite, YX Ghosty XY, Pyro, Morgan, ACL Art, Tiara Sons, Adam, Katie, Kara, Creature22, Bailey Montalongo, Moss Tiefling, Nicole Kane, Savvy, Dom, Simbi Zombie, and Nadine. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I should have another video out for you guys soon, so I will see you then.